welcome back to another episode of the New Cult Podcast, coming to you live from somewhere in the Middle East.
No, do you think? I no, are not in the Middle East. Jesus.
Wait, what's wrong with the Middle
No,
East?
no, I don't have no problem with the Middle East, but it's like no,
You're like, God, no, we're not.
I just feel like from what I hear from like people who from there, like it's I love it, but man, it's a struggle for life there.
You think you're just in the struggle? What
Yeah,
if you're like a Saudi prince?
I mean that's not even 1% of people. I'll be honest.
I mean, that's not even 0.00, hundreds, thousands of zeros percent of people. So yeah. But yeah, we have a new episode for you. Lots of topics, things to get your blood boiling, things to make you
I don't know if I want my blood
think, cry.
boiling.
No. But one thing we did want to talk about that recently happened, which I think is kind of cool, and you're kind of seeing it a lot more. And I think we talked about this last time with a lot of game companies doing their own like presentation. Like, it honestly feels like we're getting a new presentation like twice a week, right? But I know you want to talk about the Final Fantasy one, specifically for Final Fantasy 7.
What about Final Fantasy? What about Final Fantasy 7?
No, because I was saying like it feels like every week we're getting a new presentation from a company, which we are, and
It is, and it's kind of throwing me off because it's like, wait, there's more news.
yeah, we got because like yeah, there's no E3, and companies kind of I feel like a lot of companies have already made an ecosystem of presenting things during this time. So because there's no medium for them to present it, they kind of have to do it themselves because that's what every company's doing. And obviously, I know you wanted to talk about the Final Fantasy one that happened recently, which is specifically for the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy 7, right?
Which
I know originally you're calling it Square Enix, but it's like, nah, it's super focused. It's like hyper focused
the
into
fact that it's focused on one game, just my
one
mind
franchise.
can't accept that. My mind cannot physically accept that.
It was actually shorter than the Xenoblade 3 direct, which I do want to talk about that later. But let's talk about.
See, the funny thing
Uh,
about Nintendo Directs, I guess they're fine to me because it's like, oh well, this is just Nintendo. I mean, they have like Smash themed Directs, right?
they have directs anytime they have like a really big game or big IP coming. They will usually have a direct, right? Like I'm pretty sure Arms got one. Pokemon got its own direct. Breath of the Wild most likely will have its own direct, right? So, Focus Direct isn't like a new thing. Splatoon, I'm sure when Splatoon 3 comes out, it'll have a Focus Direct. But I do want to get into that a little bit later. But yeah, you said you wanted to talk about certain things in the Final Fantasy 7 Direct,
Man, the
or
Final
not direct, the presentation.
yeah, uh, I do have some things I want to say. It's it's
Mm-hmm.
it's a funny thing is like about this. I was like, wait, is this whole thing Final Fantasy 7 was my whole thing, right?
25th anniversary.
It's hard to believe it's that old. It's older than me, which should give you a context to how old I am. If anyone cares to notice, they probably don't, realistically. Right?
It is an old franchise. It is an old franchise. I
Franchise
mean,
or one game? Actually, Final Fantasy 7 is a franchise. What the fuck am I saying?
well, Final Fantasy as a whole is a big franchise, but like for context, they're coming out with Final Fantasy 16, right? Like, how many other games do you know that have like a 16th edition to it? Not even including like side games. Like, I remember in for GameCube there was like a Crystal game.
Yeah, Crystal Chronicles.
Yeah, that was my first Final Fantasy game.
I
When I
got
was like when I was like a wee lad, when I was a mere child, I really wanted to play a Final Fantasy game. I thought it looked super cool, and the first one I got to experience was that game, which wasn't really much of a Final Fantasy game. I don't even know what to like describe it as, but
I mean,
yeah.
it's a unique experience. I was
Yeah.
gonna say like it didn't matter what Final Fantasy game they made. Somehow they just managed to corner that niche pretty well. Uh, like in terms of like RPG, like the Final Fantasy Tactics is still considered one of the best like strategy role playing games out there. The
No,
original Tactics for the PlayStation One, I should say. I should say.
but what did you want to say about the direct,
I don't
or not the direct? I don't
know.
the presentation.
It's a direct. Let's be honest. It's direct
Nah,
to the point.
dude,
It's direct to the point.
they had no Nintendo there, man.
I mean, look. I mean, it's just weird because it's like I think to myself, just FF7. That is just it. But like,
Well, yeah.
I was gonna say like, I'm gonna stop dwelling on that just for a little bit longer, less longer, because like the Integrate finally got announced at PC, which by the way, Integrate was bullshit to be honest, because like we thought it was a. Did we think it was, or was it just me or you? Thought it
Ooh.
was exclusive just to PS5.
Oh no, so
Exclusive DLC.
no. So Intergrade. Okay, so how it works is there's Final Fantasy VII Remake, right?
Yeah.
Then they came out with Final Fantasy VII Interlude. Intergrade was the PS5 version of Final Fantasy VII Remake that had next gen graphics. So the difference between Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy VII Intergrade is that it comes with the DLC, which is the Interlude, and it's supposed to be an enhanced version for the PS5. But they basically, because it's basically like a package, because you're getting a DLC and you're getting a game, they, basically shipped it, put it on PC, just called it Intergrade. So yeah, they never really said it was a PlayStation, like a PS5 exclusive, but when it came out, it was advertised as the PS5 upgrade of Final Fantasy VII Remake, because at this point, Final Fantasy VII Remake was only on PC or only on PS3 or 4.
That much is true. That much is true. It's
Um,
Integrate was just kind of weird because it's like, why did they not make this into like? Why did they not? I know it's a DLC, and I know people are like, oh, why are you not?
no, Intergrade's not a DLC. Intergrade's not a DLC.
How big is it though? How long is it?
Interlude is a DLC. Intergrade is simply just Final Fantasy VII Remake with like enhanced, optimized graphics for the PS5.
Oh,
That's
okay.
how it was marketed. In the inter part, I guess interlude is the DLC, which is an extended, or it's kind of a side story of the original remake. I don't know why I said original remake,
See,
but yeah, it's like
see,
it's an extended story.
I need a fucking chart for this because this is all just blending together. Because it's enter this, enter that, enter exchange, enter my wife.
But yeah, basically, think of Intergrade only as like an enhanced version of a remaster. Just think of it as like an enhanced version, so better graphics.
Okay, all right.
Interlude is the DLC, $40 DLC, but yeah,
It's just okay. You know what? It's a little bit confusing, but we got it. We're getting it right.
But they announced a lot of things. They announced an alarm clock, which I can't lie looks pretty cool. I can't lie. Crisis Core.
See, that's what I
The,
wanted. I wanted to get to that last because that was the most exciting thing.
that
Even
was
though
your
honestly, part two FF7 remake wasn't that interesting because I was like, oh, this was just gonna expect it to be happen. But Crisis Core interlude. I mean, fuck interlude. Fuck me. Uh,
you don't need to say interlude or
no,
integrate.
but like my mind's like fucking stuck on that word.
Well, one thing you have to understand about part two is it's not going to be the same as the original.
But
Like people are saying, this is leaning more to a remake than saying because things already change in the remaster. Or no, they call it a remake, right?
It
Don't they
is a
call it a
remake. It's
remake?
a remake. It's never been a remaster. There's different things going on.
Yeah. It's a remake, right? You cannot compare. So what's going on with part 2? We don't know what's going on. We don't know.
Yeah, I just saw. I mean, I don't know if it's a spoiler because it's in the fucking trailer. But Sephiroth and Cloud are walking together. I think
Yeah.
I saw them holding
That's not
hands, but that might have just been me.
Okay, that was 100% just you.
What do you mean? What do you mean? You're telling me my headcanon isn't real?
Your head canon isn't real.
You're telling me that they don't have that kind of relationship? Cloud isn't that kind of guy? Sephiroth doesn't have this obsession with Cloud?
Jesse, has Twitter already changed you?
It wasn't Twitter. I was looking on my own time.
But I am excited for Crisis Core, right? You get to follow Zach,
Arguably
your boy.
Arguably like the better protagonist. No, I'm joking.
I still find it funny that they're releasing that like Jacko pose Tifa, where she's literally fucking doing the Jacko pose on Zach's grave.
Why you gotta in dirt like that?
I don't oof. But yeah.
For those
They also announced some mobile stuff, but I don't know.
You see, like Square Enix has these mobile projects that I just don't know. Like, I don't care about their battle royale because I don't give a shit about battle royale. They also have this weird Final Fantasy remake of FF7 remake. Was it?
Remake.
Like you know, like it was FF7, but it was in mobile, right? And I was like, what is this? I don't know.
Oh yeah. Basically, they done that with a few games, but it's basically like it's the original FF7, but for mobile. So everybody's like chibi, and then it's kind of like supposed to be like remake graphics. I don't know.
Yeah, Ever Crisis.
Yeah, Ever Crisis.
Is this like a full game? Is this like a legit experience?
Apparently, it's supposed to be a full game. Like to be fair, it's not the first time a game has basically centralized all the like cool stuff with the combat, but made the whole game 2D. You can basically look at it as the Persona 3 portable version of Final Fantasy, where there's no 3D overworld. It's kind of just point and click, and then when you're fighting. You get the experience. That's your best way of looking at it, in my opinion.
I mean, like a JRPG is more than just the fighting. It's the overworld, right?
Yeah, no, but like again, like Persona 3 portable, there's no 3D overworld.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, and for some reason that's the one we're getting for like the port for like Persona 3.
Don't remind me of some dumbasses.
Look, I was saying we should have got FPS, and my friends like, oh, but I want to control my party members, and for some reason my brain farted. I was like, wait, you could control your party members? See, that's how you know I'm a real P3 fan, because I automatically forgot you can't control your party members.
No, that's the thing with me, is that I remember playing Persona 3 FES, and then here's the thing, I don't think not being able to control my party members was a big enough issue for me to care.
It's just funny.
Because it's like I've beaten that game twice. And it's like, oh yeah, I can't control them, and you kind of just keep it pushing, right? You don't really dwell on it.
If anything, it adds to the experience. That's how you know it's a real SMT game, because you can't control any of your things in life.
Yeah, shit goes to
pretty accurate. You know, if anything, I'd argue P3 is pretty faithful to the SMT experience. You're suffering.
Yeah, I mean, it technically makes the game a little bit harder because you have less control.
When someone spams Makara-Karn, even though Makara-Karn's a useless fucking spell. Not naming names, but I'm just saying it just happens.
But like for me, if they were going to port Persona 3, which a lot of people in the Persona community have talked about, like, okay, this might happen, but if they do, there is a right way to do it. And they did it, what a lot of us feel, the wrong way, which was basically just porting Portable, which was the latest game. But Portable is missing so much stuff. So when some dumbass tells me that Portable is a definitive edition of Persona 3, No, you have never played Persona 3. Shut the fuck up.
I don't think
Like,
you even played 4.
I don't think you touched the Persona game. I think you just know it in name, right? Because
I think you just held the cover and just said, "Okay, I think I experienced this."
what do you get from Persona 3? You're getting quality of life. Yes. You're getting female protag. Yes. I don't know how much people care, but you get female protag, and then you
She
get
has a
Theodore.
she has a nice battle theme. She's kind of cute, and that's it.
And you get Theodore, right? Okay. You know what they could have just easily done? They could have just, remake, remaster, do something, right? Because, like, I think the problem with bringing FES is that they would have had to gone through the effort of taking FES, enhancing it, remastering it, and then importing over, like, then somehow bringing in the female protags. But honestly, I don't even think they needed to bring the female protag or Theodore, right?
So
Not
does
saying that wouldn't have sucked,
so
but
does that mean
honestly,
so does that mean "Burn My Dread" is not the definitive track anymore?
it's always definitive track.
Nah. Considering what that chuckle fuck on Twitter was
Nah,
saying, is "Burn My
burn my
Dread" not the track for P3 no more?
burn my dread will never die.
Nah, bro, it's soul phase now.
Nah, fuck off.
It's soul
but
phase, bro. What do you mean?
but like, yeah, no, all they honestly, if they just gave us an enhanced version of Persona 3, and if they wanted to do the effort of editing the female protag and giving her a 3D model to walk around, which I don't think would have been hard,
They
and
have it, don't
adding
they? For like
Theodore,
Tartarus?
yeah, they have it, but I'm talking about for the overworld.
Oh, well, that's not that hard.
Right? They might have had no, but realistically, if they were to add in the female protag, they probably would have had to remodel her in a way through like certain cutscenes or certain parts with like social links. They probably would have had to do a lot of like I acknowledge they would have to do a lot of work, and maybe the projected sales are not high enough for them to do that work, right? But then people are losing out on the answer, which is perfectly fine. You don't even need the protag in that. And well, the protag's just straight up fucking dead.
Spoilers.
Is it okay? We can bleep that out. we can cut that.
I'm
We
gonna
can
leave
cut.
it in. I'm just gonna leave it in because that's what you get for being a Persona fan but not knowing.
I feel like people are okay. If you don't know that if you don't know that Minato is Gonzo, then I don't know.
Look,
If you-
all I'm gonna say is if you're gonna say you're a Persona fan, then you haven't touched Persona 1 Revelations. Are you even a fan?
are you real? Are you even a real person? But
Until you have a Jack Frost until you have a was it Black Frost, Devil Frost?
Black Frost, yeah.
Until you have a Black Frost plushie next to your Jack Frost plushie, you're not a fan.
Speaking of the plushie, I'll talk about that after. But yeah, honestly, I think people would have liked FES with the quality of life changes of Q more than what we're getting from not Q. Cool, the quality of life of Portable more than just Portable port, because Portable you're losing a lot of stuff, and I don't think enough people know about Persona 3 to realize, oh, I'm losing this.
You know, there's gonna be like a generation of children. I mean, I don't know what kids are gonna be playing Persona, to be honest, but that's not the point here. Who's gonna play Persona 3 and assume that P4 is just a giant leap in innovation?
The sad thing about that is that I'm pretty sure Persona 3 FES and Persona 4 came out in the same year. There's only a 2-year difference between original Persona 4 and original Persona 3 and Persona 4.
They feel like they're made on the same.
No, they literally FES came out. I'm pretty sure in 2008, and Persona 4 came out in 2008.
God, on the PS2.
Because remember, FES is only a year older than the original Persona 4. They literally cranked out 2 Persona games in the span, technically 3, in the span of like 3 years.
Is that why Atlas just took an extended hiatus?
No, and then they had to start milking Persona 4, and then they're like, oh shit, let's time to milk Persona 3.
Look, man, I don't know what goes on in Atlas. I'm not in charge.
Because the funny thing about Golden is like Golden was not the first Golden is not the start of the milking.
No,
Arena.
It wasn't Arena.
Arena was the first one. Then we got Golden.
Okay, Reno
Then
wasn't
we
that
got
bad for the milking, I'd argue.
no Reno was dude. They put okay. I'll say this as someone who's like a Persona fan back then. They put money in the promotion of like Arena, like a lot of money. Like I think there was more money put into the promotion of Arena than fucking SMT5. Like I'm not even joking.
You know,
The amount of fucking like press conferences they did for Arena, and I think mainly because it was a collaboration, right? Um, but yeah,
yeah,
Re-
I can't dispute that. So back to Crisis Core. No, I'm joking.
I mean the thing with the Final Fantasy thing, I think it's cool. Rebirth, I'm really excited for, but I still need to play the first remake. I have it free, but
Like,
now I want it on the Steam Deck, like
like
100%.
I think I've told you. Do you know the anguish I felt when Xenoblade 3 was announced? I wasn't happy. I was extremely depressed. You know why?
Because you haven't played one or two.
No, I haven't. That's exactly why. So whenever I see a new game
Dude,
announced, I don't feel happy. I feel despair because it's like, oh,
the amount of my friends right now who's saying like I have one friend who literally just finished Xenoblade 1, is gonna start on 2, or no, one's finishing 1 so they can play 3, and one's finishing 2 so they can play 3. So yeah, those people are like getting to it. But I don't think it's smart to do that, in my opinion, because I feel like the Xenoblade games are so long that you're kind of asking for burnout.
oh. Well, I mean, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna buy one after finishing up because I finally got off my ass and said, I paid for the Three Houses DLC. Why don't I actually play the Three Houses DLC?
Yeah, because like when Xenoblade 3 comes out, I'm like again, when Nintendo decides like, okay, here's a restock for the special editions, which I hope happens soon because they don't have a lot of time. I don't plan to play it right away because I simply won't have the time to enjoy it right away.
And
But I
plus,
know when I
I'm not gonna drop whatever I'm playing right now to go play this. I'm gonna finish whatever I'm playing.
yeah, I like usually yeah, if it's like a deal if it's like a new game that I've been hyped for, yeah, I would play it right away. But I know that in when it drops, give me like 2-3 weeks, I'm gonna have a lot of time, then I can play it. Then I can enjoy it, right? Especially how I play games now. I don't play games in super long sessions. I play games in very short, like minimum 1 hour, maximum 3 hours, and it's just a much better experience to play
I
games like that, in my opinion, because I feel like I get to digest it more. I have fun.
I
I
don't
do
get
more things in that
exhausted
time.
it from like that's the same thing for me. Like I've been playing Berseria and Judgment like that, and I'm not getting tired of them.
Yeah, no, like ever since I started playing games like that, it's like so hard for me to like get burnout because I know when I play, I have time to play them, and when I finish playing, I feel very like I've done something. Like I've okay,
You get it done, it's finished, and you also build up less of a backlog, I'd argue.
yeah. The problem with me though is that I'm a completionist. I like 200% games, not all games. Some games like Breath of the Wild, you don't need 200% that. Just experience that game how you need to, and when you feel like you're ready to finish, the door's right there. That's one thing I liked about Breath of the Wild is that like you could finish the game at any time, and I think that's something that people don't really appreciate about it. You know what I mean?
I think speedrunners like it. Speedrunners love it.
Speedrunners like it, right? But that's the one thing with Breath of the Wild is like you can end the game anytime you want, and I think that's beautiful, man. That's pretty
It's
fucking good.
beautiful, man.
It pretty, I mean, Persona 3 does the same thing if you play the game. They'll literally straight up like, hey, you want to go to the ending? They just straight up ask you, like, hey, you want this to end?
Do you want to be released from your pain?
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, yeah. It's just funny when they do that.
No, I appreciate the fact the game's like, hey, you just want this pain to be over. It's almost like a meta commentary on the story. Not
It's like, I was going to say, it's like they tap you on the shoulder, like, had enough.
you want to pussy out, it's okay.
uh,
Meanwhile, SMT is like, you're gonna stay here and you're gonna like it.
dude.
Actually, no. I just actually in 4 you do have an ability to just basically, hey, I just want to end things, and that's it. And they're like, okay, bet, but you can't back out. This is your only chance.
Dude, just make another save file.
Oh, people do, and they're like, wow, this ending sucks.
But yeah,
I'm not gonna tell the audience what ending that is because you gotta play 4 to figure that out. Well, you'll know it when you see it.
but yeah, no, like for me, I think that's just a very enjoyable game. Don't get me wrong. When I'm finally able to play Xenoblade 3, I'm probably still gonna put like 5 hours on it, like the first day, just because like I'm like I want to enjoy that. But after that, I'm gonna have supplemental like gameplay, and it actually gets me more excited to play the game again. Like turn it on, like, okay, let me do what I need to do, right? Um, just keep yourself accountable, make uh do stuff. But yeah, we talked about Persona 3 Golden coming to Xbox. I honestly can't even imagine someone turning on their like Xbox Series S and booting up Golden.
That
To me,
would. It's
that just
cursed.
looks cursed to
Yeah,
me.
it's
Yeah,
cursed as fuck,
like
dog.
it would be funny if they. That's one thing I will say. I would find it cool if they reprinted like Persona 5 Royal cases on the Xbox. I think that would be cool.
Say that again.
They reprinted Persona 3 like disc and not like it's like an online thing. Like they actually like reprinted it.
Oh, like an
Persona
actual.
5
Yeah, okay.
Royal. Yeah, then I think that would be fucking cursed.
That'd be hilarious. I want
Mind you, I have Arena for Xbox 360, so
that's a spin-off. It gets a pass. Just like how
it gets
Strikers.
me off.
That's how Strikers is the only Persona thing they're ever gonna taste.
Um,
You know,
but yeah,
a Nintendo fan suffering is something that immediately. I don't know why. I just find it's hilarious. It's like a punchline.
dude, they're crying more than ever because like, dude, when it went up, right? Um, when I went on Twitter, everyone was literally clowning the Switch because they're like, "Damn, the Steam Deck already got all these." Like, yo, the Steam Deck winning, and the Steam Deck community was like going crazy for it, right? So it's funny because like this is technically going to be the first time since the PS Vita since you could play portable handheld without an emulator. And it's going to be the first time ever you can play Persona 4 or Persona 5 portably.
It's
And
kind
it's
of.
also going to be
It's kind of.
and like well, I was telling you the other day, same with Yakuza finally made it to handheld.
It's just different, I guess. I don't know, man.
Elden Ring being on handheld is still crazy. um but yeah, actually let's talk about that too, actually, because I was talking to you about the Steam Deck, and I don't know, have you looked more into it?
I have. It does seem more and more attractive to me as a possible option because it's like it could function as basically just a portable computer. It's almost like a laptop that's not shit.
It legitimately is just a full computer. It has a whole desktop mode. Honestly, if you have a monitor, you could just plug it in and use it as a normal like PC. And because it's strong enough to game on it, it's strong enough to game on it. It pretty much replaces like a normal gaming PC.
I'd argue it's better than a gaming laptop. I fucking hate gaming
I
laptops.
I have oof. Don't get me started on gaming laptops because there's a group of people that like you can't reason with them, and I don't want to I don't want to get into that. But with the
So
Steam Deck,
nah. I want to hear about this, but not now.
okay, I'll tell it. Maybe I'll say it later in the podcast.
You
But with
could
the Steam,
another date maybe, but this is you piqued my interest.
okay, I think I've told you about this before, but I'll tell you about it after. But with the Steam Deck, and what makes the Steam Deck like so good is that it is, and I'm sorry to say this to people who love the Switch, right? It is the first handheld console that actually gives you a console experience on the go. The reason why I do not give that to the Switch is that if you've ever played like Breath of the Wild undocked. It looks better on the OLED now, but originally, if you played that game undocked, that game looked like shit.
Yeah,
I think it ran
yeah.
at like 600p. It was laggy. It was buggy. It looked like a fucking mess. I and obviously they optimized Breath of the Wild a lot more, but even then, just the controls of the like ergonomically, the Switch is not a good ergonomic game. Mainly because it's a hybrid. Because it's a hybrid, there are going to be things that there are sacrifices that the game has to make, the console has to make. And one of the things that it did, being a hybrid, is giving you the ability to use the controls as separate controllers to play certain games, right? Which is a feature that I guarantee you less than half the Switch half the people who have a Switch have used, right? Outside of maybe one or two times as like a demo situation, but most people don't, right? And honestly, most things that I hear from people who have a Switch is they don't take it off the dock, right?
I use it
Well,
off the dock all the time, but I'm weird like
yeah,
that.
no, some people do, some people don't. I use it off the dock, but I use it to play pretty much two games. One, Tetris 99, two, Sonic Mania. But I'm not going to play Xenoblade off the dock. Xenoblade 2 struggles really badly docked. Like, people don't talk a lot about the performance issues that Xenoblade 2 had when it first came out. They talk about Breath of the Wild, but Xenoblade 2 just was barely playable on the Switch at launch. Especially in like the beginning area, it was really bad, right? Same with Breath of the Wild, but people talk about that more because obviously it's a more popular game, and that was kind of like the Switch premiere game when it first came out. But yeah, no, as a portable console, the Switch is not good. I will stand by this. The Vita is a better portable console than the Switch.
Vita never had any performance issues, as far as I can say.
Not only was it like the Vita was the first handheld that was kind of like, hey, we're giving you a console like experience. And I think the Vita's downfall outside of the price was the peripherals, mainly because it only had R1 triggers, which isn't bad, but it just wasn't complete. And you knew there was going to be another step to this. At least with the Switch, it gives you good, I'll say decent analog sticks, but the Steam Deck gives you what you would expect on a normal controller, like full size analog sticks, full size buttons. It doesn't really cut corners on it being, and it's big, but it legitimately is the first game console to give you, console like experience off the deck, and I think that's amazing. That's applause to it. Applause to it. Um,
I like my
and
Switch, but I'm not gonna pretend like there's no problems there.
no, I love my Switch, right? I use my Switch all the time, but I don't use it as a handheld console because I simply don't think it's a good handheld.
Yeah. Actually, there's a lot of game. Probably is just like I haven't used. I used it undocked so long that I forgot that the Switch can actually look good at times.
What did you say?
I use it undocked so often that I forget sometimes it can look good.
Yeah, no, it can look good. I appreciate the Switch for what it is, but I think again, I think there are a lot of games that would be good on the Switch. Games that are like not super graphically intensive, games that won't kill your battery life, stuff like that. Then I think undocked is fine. But I think when you play games that stretch the Switch to its upper limit of hardware, then I do think when you take it off the dock, you're playing on a very uncomfortable experience, right? Now, and remember when the Switch deck came out, no, not the Switch, yeah, not the Switch. When the Switch came out, it was advertised of having Xbox 360 levels of graphics, and yeah, we got pretty much Xbox 360's level of graphics, right? And that's fine, but at this point, when the Switch came out, the PS4 and Xbox One was already like halfway through its lifespan.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of why people it never lived up to the console thing. And I do think the Switch, the PS Vita, came a lot closer because there were games that I played on my PS3 that I also played on my Vita, or played on my Xbox 360 that also had a version on a Vita that were like, oh, okay, this is like you can see where they cut corners, but there weren't a lot of corners that were cut, and there wasn't again, there was no like lag or stutter. Like if a game worked, it worked.
If it didn't, it just don't.
Yeah, and with the Switch, I feel like if a game had problems, a game had problems. It's like when Ark came out on the Switch and it was so bad that they had to take it off. People clown um Cyberpunk. They had to do that with Ark on the Switch before. So and Ark had no business being on the Switch. I'll say that. If you've ever played Ark,
I didn't know Ark was on the Switch.
it was on the Switch. It was on the Switch for literally like 2 or 3 days, and people could not get over like 12 frames per second on it. So they had a lot of complaints, and then they actually ended up refunding everyone, and they took it off the store. But yeah, Ark.
Can you not get it physical, or is there no physical?
I don't think there was a physical.
Does that mean that's like lost software?
I can send you. I think you can buy it now still. But when at launch it was unplayable. Like I sent you a link at Nintendo's.com. But yeah, at one point they ended up taking it off the store. I guess they put it back in, but yeah, it was atrocious.
It's I remember I was watching a video about like the Daikatana port of the N64 port of Daikatana. You ever heard of that game?
No, what happened?
So Daikatana, oh God, I'm giving a history lesson here, was made by the same dude who made like the original Doom.
Yeah.
And Wolfenstein. Well, I'd say one of the original dudes, right? But a guy by the name of John Romero. This game was infamous for the fact the amount of hype it came around it, like how much it was hyped up, and it just when it came out, it did not deliver, and it was considered like dog shit. When in reality, it was just a mediocre game at best. But the N64 port was notable for just being apparently one of the worst games ever. But it was actually a PC game that they ported to the N64, which is interesting.
Well, that's the same with Ark, but I could.
I don't
Here's
know.
the Metacritic.
I don't know if I considered Ark that interesting of a title. I never touched Ark. I don't know. Is Ark popular? Is it loved? Do you like
It's.
Ark?
I personally don't play it, but Ark is one of those games where they recommend you have like generally like on average like a $2,000 computer, right? Because it's like a really really big sandboxy game, but it's also like has a massive physics engine, all this stuff. So it's not like most computers can't run it. So when it came on the Switch, people are like, oh, okay, and then it went on the Switch, and it was too. I don't know. I just remember it was like a really big deal, and it was like dog shit. Like,
What a shame.
like you could just. This guy sums it up. Good game on PC though.
Good game on PC though.
Yeah, they basically took a game that struggles on the PC and then put it on the Switch. And again, people were struggling to break over double digits in frames. Think about that.
Why was this made?
The problem is it shouldn't have been improved. It shouldn't have never like made it onto the store.
Who said like, yeah, this is gonna work? Yeah.
I don't know.
Who?
Someone did.
Who's the chuckle fuck that woke up and like gave the approval to this? I just want to know.
Someone who's like Mr. Krabs. Money.
Why'd you do it? Money. You know,
Um,
I used to thought Mr. Krabs was an exaggeration, but like as time goes on, I'm starting to wonder if it wasn't.
but yeah, no. Again, I don't. Again, like I said, I don't like the Switch for gaming, and I think if you want something that's gonna offer what the Switch should have offered, or not should have offered, but what a lot of us thought it would offer, what we were kind of promised. The Steam Deck, 100%. Like no competition, right? I don't think the Steam Deck's for everybody because I do think the Steam Deck gives you so many options and so many ways to tweak the game that it can be a little bit overwhelming, right? So I think you need to be not necessarily a power user, but a little bit more open to tweak things. But I do think you'll have like a generally really good, right?
You just gotta fiddle with it. I mean, I think that's the thing about it. Like, I'm gonna actively fiddle with it and make it comfortable for myself.
Um. Well, yeah. Were there any topics you wanted?
I want to talk about the fact that, like, when it comes to it's this weird perception around like Japanese or anime games, right?
Mm,
Uh, I was talking to my friend about like Judgment. I know I've seen Judgment a lot, but like I'm playing it, so what else am I supposed to say, right?
yeah.
I was talking about like, oh, my friend's like, oh, what have you been playing lately? I'm like, oh, I'm playing 2 games. He's like, Tail. I was like, first like Tails, and he's like, what's that? And I'm like, yeah, you know, it's a franchise of games. Like, never heard of it. I didn't expect you to, is what I said, right? And Judgment,
Yeah.
which is technically a spinoff of a larger franchise called the Yakuza franchise. Like, oh, I think I've heard of the Yakuza games, right? Because Yakuza games are somewhat well known. Because like if
They're pretty well known.
they're well known now more these days, but even like when around like
Oh
it was
yeah.
five, when it was like 4 and 5 era, it was still like decently known, right?
Yeah.
So my friend was like, "Oh, what is it?" Because they hear Yakuza, but they don't assume it's automatically a Japanese game. But like as soon as you say it's a Japanese game, people just like wince. It's like, oh, it's like anime, right? And
Yeah.
I showed him the cover of Judgment and like some gameplay, and he's like, "This doesn't look that Japanese." I'm like, "Well, it is very Japanese. It's made. This is Tokyo you're in right now, I guess."
I think the I think the problem that people have when they think of like anime, well, not well, Japanese, right?
They
First
they
thing,
conflate the two.
yeah, right, because I always say this, like when me and you went to Japan, we really didn't care too much about like Japanese things or like anime things. So we cared about Japanese things, we didn't really care about anime things, right? We were more doing things that were unrelated to anime. The only time where we kind of put ourselves in a place where we were kind of surrounded by anime is when we went to Akihabara, which makes sense because that is Electric City. That is the what a lot of people call the home of anime in Japan, right?
But
But
we also looked around for games and other things, and it wasn't just anime related, right?
yeah, like most, like how many times did I go into like a random like clothing shop just looking for clothes, right? Not anime clothes, not like some graphics. I'm looking for like specific silhouettes,
Right? I
right?
mean, like for me, I even looked around for books a lot. I was looking at books a lot, even though like realistically, I wasn't at a stage where I could read that well.
Yeah, right. Food, trying different foods, just exploring nature, shrines, ryokan, right? Yeah, very Japanese things, but not very anime things, right? And I always say this because the term JRPG is always a term that I'm always like confused about because for something to be a Japanese RPG, does it have to be anime? Right? Why do we not look at something like Zelda as a JRPG, even though the team that makes it is probably like 80% Japanese?
I think it's considered more of an action adventure game more than an RPG game.
Well, an action adventure could still be considered an RPG,
Like,
right?
I don't know, is Paper Mario considered a JRPG? I mean, technically it is, but
Technically, it should be, right?
it should be, but
Um,
it's not. I've seen
you know,
plenty of kids who like, oh fuck anime, but they play Paper Mario as kids, and it's like, okay.
Dark Souls.
Oh, that's a great example. The Souls. Look how big Elden Ring is, but people are not thinking like, yeah, that's Japanese. Well, it is. I mean, Okay, first of all, they think, oh well, George wrote the story. I don't feel like I feel like they just took George's notes, and Miyazaki's like, I don't know, man. I guess we could make some use out of it. You just want
No,
to.
but even Sekiro, people don't even look at a Sekiro. It's not that anime.
Ghost of Tsushima was like made by more
That's American.
Western.
Yeah, that's Western. It's Sucker
It's
Punch, right?
people like that's more Western than Japanese. The Japanese people are like, oh wow, it's not bad. I remember when those Japanese people watch the cutscenes. It's like, oh, this is nice. Wow,
Yeah,
like I like the detail.
but yeah, those are always terms that I'm always like really confused about, right? It's kind of like,
Because I mean, it stemmed from two instances I had with friends. Do you mind if I, or you can go ahead actually first?
well, I was gonna say something quickly. All I was gonna say, it's kind of like when it comes to the fighting game eras, like most fighting games are Japanese, but we distinctively call the ones that are more anime fighters, right? Because to call them
Which
Japanese fighters would make no sense because Street Fighter, which many people will agree is kind of the face of fighting games, is Japanese. Tekken, it's basically number one competitor, or not competitor, rival or whatever, Japanese. Smash Bros, that is in many Western people's household, Japanese. So it is really weird when people, I think it's smart what we do with fighting games, where we call them anime fighters than Japanese fighters, because to me that makes zero fucking sense.
I remember one time I saw like a video by some guy who was talking about like anime fighters don't get enough respect, and he proceeded to trash Smash, and it's like, well, I have less of a reason to listen to you now. This is why you anime fighters belong in a box.
No.
But jokes aside, I think one instance, like two instances that really like irked me, and
Yeah.
I know I shouldn't be like irked or mad, but it's just like, why is this okay but not this, right?
Yeah.
It's like I was talking about like, oh, I was playing Final Fantasy, and one person's like, oh, isn't that some like weeb shit? And it's like, no, and the other friend's like, no, Final Fantasy's like well known. He's like, it's Japanese. He's like, oh, it is. Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
What the fuck?
And I was like, it's like we don't mind that you play these things. We just think it's cringe. And it's like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, what's the problem here? I don't get it. It always weirded me out. And another instance where I was talking about like, I was talking about like my friends like, oh, okay. I was talking about playing like Tales, right? Because I like Tales. I play a few of them, right? And my friends are like, oh, that's cringe. And it's like, and these motherfuckers are playing P5 in front of me.
I don't know.
And it's like, it's weird how P5 is like excluded.
P5 is 100% Japanese.
It's 100.
What?
It's super anime. But like,
Okay, I don't know if I want to call it super anime.
well, it's not super anime, but like
It's super Japanese.
It wears the anime like aesthetic on its sleeve.
Yeah, I will say it's super Japanese. I wouldn't say it's super anime.
Well,
though.
I not say super anime, but like the aesthetic is clearly anime.
Yeah, no, the aesthetic is anime, right? But I know what you mean.
And it's like, it's like, okay, Tales is not okay because it's, it's a fantasy, it's a JRPG, they have anime portraits. It's like, and I'm like, the whole, I mean, the game's in English. And like, this motherfucker was switched the audio to Japanese for fun, just for jokes and giggles, right? While he was playing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm playing Tales in English. What the fuck do you mean? I never played a single Tales game in Japanese. And not to mention, the Japanese cast in Tales games is not slacking either.
That's the thing, right? Is because, like, I think...
It's like Xenoblade is weeb, but...
No, Xenoblade 1? Yo, Xenoblade 2? Yo, what's this weeb shit?
Yo, Xenoblade 1, masterpiece, ahead of its time. Truly fantastic game. Truly a gem. Unappreciated masterpiece. And then 2, it's like this weeb shit. It's like yeah, I get it, but come on.
It's sad that Xenoblade 2 does not get the respect because anyone who played Xenoblade 1 and didn't play Xenoblade 2 because it's a Wii would realize that Xenoblade 2 is miles ahead in terms of just gameplay and what you can do than Xenoblade 1 in every single way. Literally, the only category that Xenoblade 1 beats Xenoblade 2 is story. And that's it, because it has an exceptional story. That doesn't mean Xenoblade 2 story is bad. It's just not to like what people would call a masterpiece, right? It's not easy to be what people would consider a masterpiece, obviously, but it's still a good story. But everything else, in terms of what makes it a game, Xenoblade 2 has no competition when it comes to Xenoblade 1. They're just not comparable. Xenoblade 1 is a good game, like mechanically. Xenoblade 2 shits on it in every single category. Yeah.
Give me a second. Give me a second. I just remembered another funny instance, but it's just like Nintendo fans are like, ugh, Xenoblade, some weeb shit. And then they're like, give us P5, please.
Yeah, please, I'm begging for P5.
Give me some P5. Give me some P5 right now. Give me some.
I know I never played this game, but I need it. Everyone
Yeah,
keeps talking about it.
Yeah, legitimately. It's like, just get a PS4, buddy. It's not hard. They're on sale, especially these days.
You could probably find one on like Kijiji or eBay for $100. To be
Buy
honest,
the digital copy if you're so pressed for a physical one.
right?
P5
And
Royals.
I don't condone it, but like, it's a PS3 game. You can fucking emulate a PS3.
You can emulate the worst version. Yes, that's true. Oh god, another funny.
That's how one of my friends played it.
I remember like me and my friends were big into Dark Souls 3, all playing together because we happened to get around the same time, right?
Yeah.
So like I play like great swords, heavy armor, just because I like the aesthetic and just because it's fun, just because it's cool. Because I want to I want to cosplay as Guts. Okay, give me a break.
Yeah, everyone does.
Everyone does, right? You could argue. You could argue I'm worse for that, but these motherfuckers were like, "Oh, fucking weeb, just you're such a fucking weeb, such a fucking anime nerd." While they're all using katana dex builds.
Oh no.
I don't know I don't know how you get up in the morning and think, "Yeah, I'm not a hypocrite."
I don't know. Like, it's something that I do see, and I think, like, I don't know what offends people about anime aesthetic. And I think it's because a lot of times people see anime and they assume, okay, this is the top, because they kind of see what they want to see. But it's kind of like, even with the anime genre, if you take a deep dive, you'd realize there are a lot of, like, serious, or, they cover certain topics or certain things, and they don't have to be over the top. If you're only looking at anime through the eyes of like a 10-year-old and only watching shonen, then yes, you're going to find that. But that's not true for everything, right?
I mean, I won't pretend like I'm not immune either, because like whenever I see fantasy, light novel, isekai, I'm immediately like, I'm not touching this.
Right? Because like that's one thing I've always like said about anime is like a lot of anime that I have seen, or a lot of anime that I see or talk about, how much of that is even in Japan? Like, how much fantasy anime is there, or in just a different world, right? And a lot of anime has very little to do with Japan. Like, yes, they'll still have Japanese influence, but you can't really have this like one-to-one with anime and Japan when, like, again, like Attack on Titan. Where's the Japanese?
The only Japanese person is like Mikasa, probably.
Yeah, maybe, and or I don't know. There's so many examples. There's so many examples of just like, or like even like space shows.
I
Right?
mean, ironically, those same fans called me a casual because I don't know. I reincarnated in the world as a fucking zombie, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry if I just think that sounds stupid. Right?
Wait. Yeah. Wait, that anime. Is that the one where the guy becomes like a magical girl with the
I don't know, and I don't care.
I think it is. No, anime is fucking that's a funny thing.
No, I don't think it was that one. No, I think it's like Zombie Adventure, and he's like, I read the light novel. I'm like, how about you read a real fucking book? I don't know.
I think the one I'm thinking about is called Zombie Disco.
No, it's an isekai. I know what you're talking about. That one's a classic.
That one's a fucking classic, and
That's a classic. But no, this was just a random isekai about a zombie adventure or some shit like that. And I was like, it's all the same. It's all the same. It's like this weird parody of Dragon Quest, but like I played Dragon Quest. And I'm like, Dragon Quest is not this rote.
Yeah, but no, but like going on what you're saying, let's go back to right.
Yes.
I think when we look at let's look at Final Fantasy. Let's look at the most popular one, which we can people. It's seven, right? Seven's the most popular, right?
Seven's weird because like seven is like a chop suey of a bunch of things. It's steampunk.
But I think one thing where people look at like Final Fantasy VII, and they're like, haha, look how anime it is the oversized sword and hair, right? Um, and I think like yeah, they look at that hair and they're like, it's spiky. No one can actually get their hair like that. And I think everything that game does or anything it tries to do, however it's written or anything, people will just make their assumptions, walk away, don't care. They won't look into it. They won't do anything.
You
And I
know,
feel like
ironically, that was the same reason I swore off a lot of like Warcraft or Blizzard games because like I don't. Why are they wearing these humongous pauldrons? They look kind of stupid.
yeah, and I think when you do that, you kind of just lose out on experiences that you might end up really, really, really liking, right? It's kind of like for me as a kid. When I was a kid, it was really if you're a guy, it's really weird to watch a show that has like like female characters or mainly female characters, right? So when I was a kid and I was watching like let's say Sailor Moon, it's kind of weird. It's like, oh, that Sailor Moon's for girls, right? And it's like, no, Sailor Moon's fine, right? Or when I was like got a little bit older, like 8 years old, 8 year old when I was 8, that was the first time I watched an anime that was like had nothing to do like just wasn't on TV, wasn't a shonen, and it was Lucky Star. An 8 year old boy watching Lucky Star, you know, that was more anime, I guess now, or more anime than like anything that was shown on TV, maybe. But yeah, it's just like even then, I could have easily been like, nah, fuck this. It's too girly. I don't want to watch it. Then I probably would have never got into like slice of life stuff, right?
You know what got me back into anime in general, just on every front, was just Full Metal Panic.
You know what got me back into anime?
What?
I don't think I talked about it, but when I think a little bit before I got into high school, I kind of just stopped watching anime. I just didn't really care about it. And then even like when I did get into anime, got into high school, I watched anime, but not really. I would watch what was like ever popular um on like Netflix. So I watched like Desert Punk, but like I just did not care about anime. I probably went like in 2 years. I probably watched maybe like two or three, like very very little anime. And then I got into like Persona, right? And even when I got into Persona, I didn't even want to watch anime. Even when I found out that they made like a Persona 4, like when I found out they made a Persona 4 anime, I watched like the first 10 minutes and I was like, no, right? And then I had friends who were telling me like, oh, watch it, and I was like, okay, right. What actually got me really back in anime was just piano. I watched this one channel. He's also Canadian. I was like Taster, and then I was just watching his covers, and then I was looking at the songs, and obviously they were anime because he was an anime pianist, like pianist channel. And yeah, just literally listening to those songs, and be like, okay, let me check these out. That's really what got me back in anime, right? So, honestly, if I had my like rut where I was like, yeah, I don't really care about it, and I kind of got back in. Even when I was playing anime games, I didn't care about fucking anime. Like I didn't look at Persona as anime enough for me to be like, oh, okay, yeah, time to watch shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, some people could just play games and just leave it at that. Never watch a single anime.
Yeah.
It's happened before. I knew one guy who just played Just stuck to one franchise and called it a day, and I was like, okay.
But yeah, I know what you mean when you say the kind of like I would say what, like really unjustifiable like hate for just like if it's Japanese, then it's anime, and I think a lot of it comes back to like people who kind of grew up in that weeb era, where it was like if you're a weeb, you were like the worst person alive.
I won't
If you
pretend
like
like
weeb shit,
I wasn't cringe or like weebs themselves aren't fucking weirdos because they are. I've seen
I was
them.
never cringe. No, I'm joking.
Okay,
No, I'm
okay.
joking. I'm joking.
I was above it. You wasn't. Okay, I see how it is.
I was joking. I'm joking. I'm
No,
joking.
no,
I
no.
don't know. I don't know how it was.
I deal with some insufferable people because it's like, God, come on, it's just a fucking show, right? It just came back to like,
Yeah.
it really snapped me out of just being like, maybe I should have a personality other than just liking media.
The thing I was gonna say, the thing about me, I always heard people say like, if you're into anime, you get made fun of. If you're this and that, I never experienced. Have you experienced that?
Yeah, I still get flack.
For me, this was the thing with me, right? And I always thought like maybe it's because like I was very unapologetic about it, or there was no reason because I was a pretty normal person, right? You talk to me, I'll talk to you. I kind of knew a little bit of like things, so I could have wide range of
I could
conversation,
talk
right?
about the game with the boys.
But no. Even at that point, I didn't really care about like watching sports. But
It's just like the whole thing. You could like keep facades up.
yeah. Well, it's not facades. Like there are generally things that are interested. But like I remember when I was in high school and like group of friends, like bunch of group of friends, and it would look at my phone, right, and you see my screensaver, and I would always have like some kind of like anime image on my like wallpaper or something, and they'd look at me and like, "Oh, you're into anime?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And like, "Oh, really?"
I think it's
And
because
I'm
you
like,
just
"Yeah."
don't look the type. So people are like, oh yeah, Dante's cool, but like me, it's like
And
they
then
expect me to be into it, and it's like,
no, but the thing is, like, the conversations would literally end like two. It would be like it'd be 2 seconds, right? And then if someone else was in anime, like, oh, Dante's in the anime too, or something like that, right? Because yeah, in high school, I pretty much never talked about anime to anyone because there was a group of kids who I knew were into anime, but those were like, oh, like, nah, I'm okay. I don't even want to associate with those guys. Those guys are different because they were loud. That was my only problem with them. They were really loud. They were like very obnoxious. Not there. Yeah. So I didn't really interact with them. Right. I like to interact with people naturally, and if we're into something together, then we're into something together. Right. I don't really necessarily seek people who are into something super focused, and then I try to like shove myself into that. So unless somehow our paths crossed, they wouldn't. Right. But yeah, no, like I was just anytime it came up, it didn't really matter. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's how I always tell people. I think a lot of it is how you kind of present yourself, right? Not trying to say like if you present yourself in this way, you're going to get bullied, you're going to get saying, but I think because like if I said I like anime, what are you going to say to me?
cool.
Yeah, no, like if you're like, what could you make fun of me about? Right? It's not like I'm hiding it. It's on my phone. You get to ask me about it. That's kind of just how I was, right? And I think it is kind of that thing where if people see that you're like like bothered by it or insecure about it, then yes, someone who's an asshole will try
Well,
to poke at you about it.
it's not as if I became insecure overnight, right? Obviously,
Yeah,
there's obviously something prompting me towards that way.
yeah, no, I get that because yeah, no, for like even I guess like for me, right? Uh I have the Chica Bunny Girl figure, right? And I put that on my piano. Anyone who comes in my room, they could see it, right? No one cares, you know. Again, because it's in the open, it's there. I'm not trying to hide it. It's like that's anime. That's some people like it. So I don't know. I guess just because like I guess for me, I'm just the type of person that I try not to like if it's something that I can't really express, right? And obviously, so certain things have to be private. But if it's something about me that like I generally like, then I try to be proud of it and not really let what people say discourage me. And I could say for a fact, when it came to anime, there's never been a point in my life someone has. Maybe online when someone talks about like, oh, you have an anime profile picture, so your opinion don't matter, and it's like, are you retarded? That's not how life works.
Yeah,
Just
no, that does happen quite a few times, right?
it's happened to me a few times, and I remember the one time it happened. Someone had like a you profile picture, and people were literally coming at him like, dude, what the fuck? You literally have Pokemon profile picture.
That's different though. What do you mean?
Pokemon's not anime. Pokemon's different.
Pokemon's
But
different.
like, yeah, and
People always make up different like excuses to put distance, right?
anytime someone, I think the last time someone did that to me, I took a line from Low Tier God just to like troll, and I was like, "Yep, I won mentally." It's just like,
Yeah, no, it's always about. I hate people who try to pursue the last word, right? It's just like
no, yeah, like this is so insignificant. Like, what does that have to do with the conversation? Yeah, fuck off. But yeah, the last time that happened, I'm just like, "Yep, I won mentally," and that pissed the guy off.
I'm
But yeah,
glad.
were you gonna say?
I'm glad I'm not Twitter. That's all I'm gonna say. I hate.
No, it wasn't Twitter. It wasn't Twitter. It was like YouTube.
Oh, that's just as bad.
Yeah.
Not
Honestly, it doesn't really happen on Twitter.
not mentally ill people you find on comments on social media is just hilarious.
Yeah. It's like I'm wrong, so I need to find a way to insult you. And I'm like, haha, I know what you're doing. Relax, sit down, kid.
Dog, just take it easy. It's okay.
Yeah, if you're wrong, accept you're wrong. If I'm wrong, right? That's one thing with social media. Not even social media. That's one thing with people. I want people to understand this. It's okay to be wrong. I have met so many people who have this like phobia of being wrong, or they don't want to know that they're.
I mean, a good example of my personal life is like I say I don't know. And I was talking to a
Yeah,
friend, and I'm like, why does that incite such a negative reaction when I say I don't know? Right? He's like, probably
when
because like people assume you just don't give a shit. They presume that you don't give a shit. Like, no, I'm just being candid with them and saying I don't know enough yet. Don't take me at 100%, right? Um, you know, like do your own work and look into it instead of just looking to some like armchair expert. Because like I've seen people take someone's advice. And I'm like, I know that advice is wrong, and I'm trying to tell you why. Like, I know it's wrong. I can't tell you why or how I know it to be wrong. I just know it's wrong, right? You just feel
yeah,
it. Like
well,
I can point at things that are wrong here, but I can't give you all. Like they ask me like, well, then what should I do? Like, I can't give you an alternative like solution. I just don't know. I just know what's wrong, and that's all I can say.
yeah, like for me, like the thing I hate the most is misinformation. I hate when people spread
Well,
misinformation,
that's why like
right?
I try to like if you try to direct people away from misinformation, if you don't know you need an alternative. You can't just have nothing. You can't just walk away and think I don't know, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like sometimes someone believes something, and I tell them they're wrong, and their reaction is so like visceral or something. It's I don't know if I use the right word there.
A good example is like when it comes to like histories, like people think like people don't know how we built the pyramids for sure. We don't have like a definitive. We have like a pretty good guess on a lot of it, but a lot of people don't know, so they sub in something to compensate. Oh, it's either there was the gods or it was the aliens or the aliens were a god, right?
Yeah,
You know, the
no,
aliens built the pyramid, like the classic conspiracy, right? And I'm like, no,
yeah,
like why are you taking away the hard work from the Egyptians? Why can't these people have done it themselves?
no. But what I mean more is like I have been in conversations with people, and telling someone they're wrong is like trying to get them to like take a needle or something,
No, I mean,
and they
I
can't
don't
do that.
see. I don't even care about that because I know that's gonna get a bad reaction. My problem is like they can't accept that the answer's just not there, and you need to go look for it yourself.
Yeah, no, and that's what I mean, right? Like I said,
Sorry.
like one, you don't need an opinion on everything. Yeah, it's okay because like this is what I always tell people. Right? This is what I always try to tell people, right? Like because like when I was a kid, I used to ask a lot of questions. I don't ask a lot of questions now because I've asked so many questions that I have like okay, eventually you stop. But I am a type of person that I kind of enjoy being wrong. If me being wrong means that I will now know the answer, I am open to being because I think being wrong is a good thing, right? It's the same thing with failing, right? Failing is okay. It's okay to fail. Some people can't handle failure and they run away from it, and it stops them from trying new things.
I,
And it's the same thing with
I
being
straight up gotta
wrong.
say that's what I am. I've been afraid of failure, so I ran from it.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with being wrong. Some people like if you accept the if you accept that I'm wrong, and you don't even need to accept that you're wrong, you could just be open minded and then compare the two, or at least look at why this person is saying you're wrong. Right? I never will fight so hard on a side because I know the more open I am, the more I can understand where that person's coming from and I can look into it. Right? It's not saying, oh, believe everything you hear, but like, yeah, if someone's telling me information and I know it's wrong and I know I can prove to them that what they're saying is wrong, I will do that. But if someone's saying something to me and I
I
will
don't
double
I
fact
don't
check
like when
them,
people take other people's word for law and haven't thought of it themselves.
yeah, no, and like, and again, like
Eh,
you
eh,
know, from me when I like we talk about things, I always look at both sides very analytically, and I take my time to wait before I make an opinion on something like
I am perfectly fine just saying I don't know and I don't need to know.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
If I straight up don't care, I don't
well,
care.
it's not even I don't care. It's like I feasibly can't. Like I remember sometime I was in an argument with someone and about like, well, I believe in the vaccines. I said, no, you don't need to believe in anything. You just know if it works or not, right? Based on the principle of it, right? He's like, well, can you explain to me the principle why it works? It's like, well, no, I don't know. I just believe in it. I said, then why are you using dogmatic language, like religious language, to describe your opinion on the science? You know the science. It's not you believe in the science. There's nothing to believe with science. You just know it works, right? You don't believe in the combustion engine, internal combustion engine. You know it just goes off by itself because it's a mini explosion inside the cylinders, right?
Yeah,
There's nothing to believe there. There's no magic there. It's it's science. It's just action, right?
yeah.
And I was like, no, it's like, well, the experts are telling me. It's like, no, you can. If you have to believe an expert, and if he can't explain something to you clearly, there's a problem here, right? If he
Yeah.
can't break it down for you in a way that you can understand and relay that same information to someone, he's probably doing a shit job, or or what he's peddling is not real,
Or sometimes someone made of interpret what someone says, and their interpretation is wrong,
or
but
it's
not
in
what.
bad faith.
Yeah.
I mean, like the
Right.
whole dynamics around communicate. I mean, like this, it's just a mess because it's like I clearly don't know enough. I
Right.
just don't. And I don't think I can. I tell people either you got to look at the source or read some books or just be fine with not knowing or not having to say.
Yeah. It's kind of another thing that we talked where people get way too offended when you don't like what they like. It's like if you say you like pancakes, or let's say Jesse, you're a waffle lover. You love waffles, right?
I love the Dutch.
Me, I'm like I hate waffles. Some people will literally take that as you're saying that you hate them,
It
right? Or something wrong with you, or you think there's something wrong with them for liking it.
and fucked your daughter on your lawn. What the
Oh,
fuck?
wait,
Huh?
did you cut out?
No, I didn't. Well, I mean, I probably should have considered what I just said.
What did you say?
I said, man, it's almost equivalent to me shooting their dog and then like sodomizing someone on their front lawn.
Yeah, right. It's like, look, me, I don't like pickles. Does that mean I think people who eat pickles
Whoa,
are
whoa, no,
disgusting?
okay.
No, but like it doesn't mean I think people who eat pickles are disgusting.
No,
No, I
I
just
mean,
don't
like,
like.
if you want, like, an example of a statement that I think is fine, is like, I hate guys who drink out of the pickle jar. I think they're disgusting.
You know, that's a bit sus.
Yeah, am I right?
Yeah, I mean, that's different. That's an act. If you're doing that,
That's a criminal
like,
act.
it's like this. Like, if you shit in your bed, I'm gonna look at you funny.
If
Doesn't
you
mean I hate you. It
no,
just means
well, I mean, like if you if you can't control your bowel movements at the age of 14, I just assume you're a serial killer.
But what I'm going to say is this: there are contexts to things, right? If you like a game and I don't like a game, it's not important. It doesn't affect me or your life, right? It's different. If you tell me, if you walk up to me and you're like, I think Hitler was a great guy, then yeah, I'm gonna probably
Whoa,
back away from you. You know,
whoa, whoa.
because there needs to be context. But 99% of the things, it doesn't matter if someone doesn't like that thing. That's okay.
You mean, guys, it's okay if you like your favorite dictators.
Yeah, if someone's like, yo, I think Joseph Stalin,
Was
I think he was a pretty
I think he was
humble.
I think he was a stand-up guy. Real great dude.
Yeah, right.
Those
But that's what I
50
mean. There's
those
context.
50 million people? I don't know. What do you mean? I didn't see them. Did you? No, they probably weren't there anyways.
They vanished. They who?
Who?
Whoof?
Who's? Who you?
Huh?
Huh? What? Who?
Who? Fidel Castro? Who?
Paul Pot? What?
Bill Clinton didn't have sexual relations with women.
No, he just harassed his staff mates.
I did want to talk about one more topic before we end things off.
Yeah, okay.
And we already talked a little bit about this. Actually, I'll give you a choice. Do you want to talk about this subject, or do you want me to tell that like story I was going to talk about with the whole gaming computers?
Story times, kiddos. It's time to spill the tea.
You want the story?
Yeah, I want you to spill the tea. Spill the tea, sis.
I'll save the other thing I want to talk. The thing I want to talk about was Xenoblades. I'll save that for next week. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about gaming computers.
Gaming, gamers, gaming.
Okay, so gaming computers are something that I at one point was blinded by. I was
blind.
I was a bit of a shill.
I
had such a negative view.
I was lost and then I was found.
No, because I legitimately had such a negative view, but because of my own how I look at the world, how I treat things in life, kind of helped me. But I'll go to the I'll just talk about the work. So basically, I have always been like a tech guy. I'm a super big tech guy. I love technology. I love the advancement of technology. And anyone who is in that space kind of already understands
Watch
that.
out, the Unabomber might come for you, bro.
But the people who are in that space kind of already understand that there is always going to be this bias towards certain things and a certain hatred towards certain things, right? And for me, very young me, I hated Apple. I was like, why would anyone waste their money on a MacBook, right? It just seemed overly expensive. You can't do anything on it, stuff like that.
No offense.
Now
I hate
what?
guys who used to be like, yeah, Mac shit, but they wouldn't shut up about how shit it was. It's like, dog, if it's shit, you don't need to mention how bad it is.
No, here's the thing. I never said it.
Yeah.
I never like preaching it. But it's kind of how I saw it because that's kind of just how the world was talking to me, right? No one really owned a Mac. Macs weren't like something big because realistically, at that age, which one of your friends could afford a Mac? Which one of your friends' parents are buying them a MacBook? Not many. So, to me, I just did not understand it. So as I got older, I that's how a lot of my friends felt. That's how I felt. Anyways, I more or less decided that, hey, you know what? Let me kind of look at things, because my brain when it came to that thing was so one-sided because I always looked at what you got. And yes, if you're looking specifically at the tech, what you're getting, yes, a Mac isn't worse than on paper, but you don't have you when you're young, you have a very one-dimensional brain. Generally, you have a very one-dimensional brain. You can only look at things at one side. Older, you can probably look at things at multiple sides. You have much more of a micro perception rather than a very macro perception, and that's kind of when I looked at different things and I realized, like, okay, you know what, Mac isn't really that bad, right? Has less RAM, but it's more optimized for RAM, so it feels like you have just as much. Understanding how RAM works, processing, understanding that a lot of Apple software is made by Apple, so it's just a lot more optimized, right? Build quality. The build quality, full aluminum, this, whatever, bells and whistles, right? And then ease of fixing. Apple stores are everywhere. To me, it like the more I looked at them, I'm like, okay, right, but you can't do that much on it. So I personally decided, you know what, I'm gonna get a Mac. I'm gonna get a Mac, see if I like it. If I don't like it, I return it. Because at that point, for the same money I got a Mac, I could have got a pretty good gaming computer. But one thing that I really hate about fucking gaming laptops is that they, to me, were pointless. If you wanted to game, you game at home. How much time do you have outside of gaming where you can pull out this really big laptop that's probably going to be super
This
hot,
fucking
super,
brick. Super loud
and
brick.
yeah, because that was the thing. If I realize, like, if I want a game outside my house, I have portable consoles. I don't really need to bring very big, heavy gaming equipment to game at my house. I think it's silly, right? So to me, gaming computers didn't make sense because you're pretty much want something that's going to have horrible battery life to play something that you're not going to really have much of an opportunity to play. It's too big, it's too invasive, it doesn't make sense, right? You're going to play it on your lap, it's super hot, the battery's going to run out. To me, it just didn't make sense. The more I'm like, yeah, you just don't, right? And I was pretty happy. I basically became like, yeah, if I was going to get a laptop, probably get a Mac just because it does everything I need to do, and I'm not gonna fucking game outside because if I was gonna game outside, I have other things that I can do that for. Especially now with the Steam Deck. I think now with the Steam Deck, gaming laptops are pretty much obsolete. If you get a gaming laptop, the only time I think a gaming laptop is useful, because there's only one thing I think they're worth it. If you live if you have the certain living conditions where you need something that's portable and you want a game and you can't get a desktop, then I think gaming laptops are fine because it gives you a portable setup and you can play what you like to play, right? But most people are not in this situation, right? People want a gaming desktop to go along with their gaming laptop, and I think that's silly. And I remember I had these two friends that were clowning me for having a MacBook. And they started saying things that didn't make sense. And again, when I brought up those other points, like build quality, cost, because at that time, gaming laptops cost more than Macs. A MacBook Pro is actually cheaper than a lot of gaming laptops. A lot of gaming laptops were going for around $2,000. MacBook Pro was going for around like $1,450, right? And yeah, I had these two friends that were clowning me. They were saying, "No, if you get a Mac, you're stupid." All this, like, just straight up insulting me. And to me, I don't. I think the biggest indicator of how mature someone is how quickly they go to insults for a civil conversation. A conversation where we're not talking about each other, we just want to debate, and they have to go to insult you, right? I think that's like a really, if you have a friend like that, that's a red flag. In my opinion, that's a red flag.
I'd say there's a lot of growing they need to do on their ends, and you shouldn't be the catalyst for that.
Yeah, right. And they were just insulting me and all this stuff. I mean, it's like, okay, let's talk about the price. First thing, build quality. There are very few laptops at that price point where you're going to get a full aluminum chassis and a glass screen, right? If you don't think that's worth it, that's fine. But most, like, honestly, go to a Best Buy right now, Go to laptops that cost that much. Most of them are made out of plastic. Yes or no?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, they're made out of plastic. The screens are pretty flimsy. Yeah, if you pay a lot more,
you're
yeah,
you're not paying for materials, is all I'm gonna say.
right. Then it comes to the point of then it comes to the point of the stuff inside. Here's the problem with the stuff inside. You cannot look at what's inside a Mac the same way you look at things into a PC, mainly because of the operating system. An operating system dictates how things work. And because Mac is not only a hardware company, but a software company, it has way better optimization than you would find. Right now, the reason why the M2 laptops are so good, why they have like 17-hour battery life, can edit and barely use any battery, is because Apple has started making their own processors, and their processors are optimized for their software, so their processors take very little power, right? That's just how it is, right? The M2, M1 laptops are really good, right? My mom has one. I can tell you firsthand that shit. I don't even remember the last time that thing got charged, right? So
You ain't using
yeah,
it.
huh?
You're not using it a lot of the time. I've known. I mean, not you, but people.
Yeah, but yeah, no, but it was like, bringing up points that I thought were valid, like again, hardware, software, optimization, realizing you can't look at things the same way, right? If we move the term gaming and just look at them as laptop, what you're going to do with them, it's not a bad choice, especially like I said, the Apple story. If your fucking Asus breaks down, you have to send that thing to Asus. If your Razer breaks down, Razer makes you pay for the shipping to send it. Apple, you can just bring it to the store and they'll never ask you to pay for shipping, right? They'll ask you to pay for labor because that's only fair, and their warranty system is a legitimate warranty system. So, yeah, to me, it's just crazy. Um, And yeah, no, that I there was a few times where like something like that happened where like I noticed I got like so much hate being like a Mac user, even though I use both Mac and PC, but I got so much hate from those two friends because I had a Mac, and it just wasn't justified at all. And it's crazy where people have no rebuttal to the things you're saying, so they go to insult you because in their mind this thing is better because it's better. No, it's not. That's just not how life works. You can believe it's better, but unless you can come up for it, like, just say something. Like, okay, material. What can you say about that? Nothing. I'm an idiot. Okay. Software. What can you say about that? Oh, you can pirate it? Yeah, but we're talking about optimization. Pirating doesn't give you optimization. Are you stupid?
Doesn't it take away from optimization?
You stupid, bro. No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Bruv, you're moving mad.
Mad, bro. Software doesn't necessarily take away from optimization, but it depends on what's optimized
Oh,
on,
I'm
right?
just saying, like the software itself is not that optimized because it's pirated.
Yeah, right. It's really stupid. It's even like the widget thing. Like I remember with the Android and the iPhone, like the widget conversation. I don't give a fuck about widgets.
What are widgets again? I don't use them.
Widgets were basically like small applications, like it would be like a clock or the weather and stuff like that. And apparently like I had one friend that bragged about having a widget that notified him when a new manga chapter came out. That's cool. I just memorize when a chapter comes out and I don't even fucking read.
You know what I do? First of all, neato, a cool little widget you got there, bud. No, I mean, look, man, I just check once a month. If the new chapter is out, I'm happy. I got 2 to 3 years to read, or I just don't care. What? How hard pressed are you that you need to know when it's coming out? Just take it easy. It'll come when it'll come, unless the
But
author dies or he just
no,
doesn't make shit.
but yeah, no, that was the thing. Like I had points, and they straight up did not have points, except for no, this is better. Max are not worth it, and it's crazy that people will die on the hill of Max not being worth it without being able to explain why Max aren't worth it. But besides saying you're getting less for the same amount of money, well, you can't say that anymore because the processor is made by them, and they can dictate the value of that. So that conversation's kind of dead now. But going back in the past, yes, you could say you're getting less for more, but the issue was optimization. The same thing with RAM. The reason why they never needed to get much RAM is that Apple literally was just literally twice as efficient with RAM than a normal PC. So 8 gigabytes on Apple was literally the same as getting 16 on a PC. That just shows how shit the optimization is on Windows.
It was always the most nerdiest of mofos, and it's like, dog, no one, no. I'm not gonna say it, but no bitches are gonna be here for this argument.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where you bitch? It's like that picture I sent you where the guy started reading Berserk and damn, when are you gonna get some bitches? And the guy takes the picture. He's like, all right, you next. You remember that?
It's like,
Wait, do you remember the picture?
oh, I remember that. That was he smacked him back hard.
Yeah, the man was shook. Dude, the guy did not come back for a while.
No, he can't. He just delete his profile or hang yourself. You can't come back from that.
He can't come back from that.
Just you'll have to self delete yourself.
But I realized, yeah, no, it is better to why not have the best of both worlds? Why make yourself so rigid?
I mean, why is there such loyalty to such things as arbitrary as a brand or an object or uh, optimization? Like, why is that your thing? Is that your personality? Is that your cult? Is that your god?
I don't mind brand loyalty. If a brand
I don't know. The idea of like
brand if a brand rewards you for being loyal, I think it's fine. If you're not really getting anything out of it, then I don't know.
I don't know. I think the idea of worshiping or really defensive over something as arbitrary as a brand is just incomprehensible to me.
No, that's fair. I mean, like it's like for me when I say Persona is my favorite game franchise, but that's because I literally like everything it delivers to me, and it's not like I'm just playing mainline games. I'm playing spin-offs too, right? If I was playing mainline, if I was only playing mainline, then you could maybe look at me funny, but I'm playing literally everything that comes out, right? But does that mean? But again, look at the Sky 6. The Sky 6 came out. I hated it, right? And you know, I trash that game. Even though it's my second favorite game franchise, I trash it really hard,
We
right? So I don't.
always There's always one bad title in a franchise. Like for example, like me, like I started with Skyrim. I played Oblivion. I didn't hate Oblivion, but at times I was like, I think the fans who are saying Skyrim's trash compared to this are hyperbolic because like I'm seeing a lot of problems here.
I was actually gonna
And,
say that. Oh yeah,
well, you go. What you're saying?
I did want to did want to talk about this topic, but I'll save it for next week. It was basically Disguise 6 was so bad that the director actually made a video saying how he knows it was a disappointment, and he was asking like Western fans to like help him out, saying like, "Yo, what do you think we should improve?" and stuff like
Interesting.
that.
He asked the Western, not the Eastern fans.
Well, I think I mean he could have made more than one video, but the video was specifically to Western fans. I'm sure he asked Japanese fans too, right? Because I think it might have been just because like Disgaea has always had like a fairly stable like Western audience,
Yeah,
and
Nice
maybe
America takes good care of its fans.
if you know Disgaea 6 was less than favorable to them, then maybe yeah, that's a market that they need to be concerned about.
I respect a developer that's willing to talk to his audience like that.
Yeah, it wasn't even just like developer; it was like literally the director. And I kind of want to talk about that because I thought that was interesting. But I said all
Big ups to the man that he's still he didn't double down. He thought, I don't know what the fuck's going on, man. What could have possibly gone wrong? He's just like, hey man, I mean, if there's something wrong, you tell me, guys.
like I mean, like you know how I was when when that game dropped. I
Oh,
was like,
I was like, I was astonished. I was like, wait, this guy is shit. That can't be.
and even he was like, yeah, this game. I realized it was
This game's
disappointing.
not bussing.
If people who played this guy, you played this guy before, right? Yeah, you
Yeah,
played 3.
yeah. For some reason, my copy of 3 was super bugged. I think I showed you what happened, but it was super scuffed.
No, I don't think you showed me.
So for some reason, the menus wouldn't work properly, so it would just keep on like scrolling like it was controller drift.
Oh, what the hell?
And I was like, what the fuck? I downloaded the digital version, which I'm not going to ask you how I got that. And it still was just not working. I was like, why is this guy at 3 not working for me?
That's weird.
Uh,
I was gonna say though, like
Because I,
if any, oh yeah,
I, I, I ran that copy on someone else's like Vita, and he's like, dog, why is this why is this copy not working? And it's like, I don't know, bro. No other game has this problem. I have no other problem with any other game on my Vita. Just for some reason, 3 was just not cooperating.
no. Do you see what I sent?
What you said? Lord, give me a second.
I was gonna say the big disappointment of Disguise 6 for people who don't know. Again, I won't go into too much detail. But what I'll say is this: Disguise was a game where they understood they had a good thing going. They innovated, but they never pushed the boundaries. Right? They innovated. They got better each time. Better quality of life, better gameplay, everything. It was always just improvement on the system, right? Which people liked the system. People bought into the system. That's what you want, people to buy into the system. And Disgaea 5, which is not my favorite Disgaea. And I don't say that as like it's a bad game. Disgaea 3 is just my favorite Disgaea, but it is the best Disgaea game, gameplay wise, bar none. Like it is really, 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 really good. And it's crazy that the game peaked in 2015 with Disgaea 5 and released dog shit in Disgaea 6. Like, a horrible game. They basically had this system. They had 6 games already. They had Disgaea 1 to 5 and D2. And they had the same system. And they decided to overhaul these systems, change them drastically. And of course, yeah, fans were going to be bad because the systems were just worse than what we had. And it makes you kind of think sometimes, were they playing the same game that we were been playing this whole year? Or all this time, right? Did they really enjoy this more than what they were giving us, right? And it really makes you wonder. It makes you scratch your head.
Okay.
Yeah, like, again, it didn't really feel like a Disgaea game because so many things that didn't make sense, right? My favorite feature was basically like gutted out, which was item world, which a lot of people like when people saw the new item world, it was bad. It was bad. I'll say that it was really bad. But yeah. Is there anything else you want to say before end things up?
No, I think that's all I could say. This was pretty good though, all things considered.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
We talked.
yeah, we could recap it, I guess.
Oh, I was gonna say we talked about Final Fantasy. We talked about Persona. We talked a little bit about Xenoblade. We just been talking about weeb shit. This is a weeb podcast. This is a weeb podcast.
See, I'm okay with it being a Wii podcast in disguise, just not directly.
Yeah, just in disguise. Next week, we're going to talk about the Steph Curry. Is he a top 10 player in the NBA after just finally securing his first Finals MVP and winning his first championship? Of course. You're ready for that discussion, right?
No, I the only thing I do is watch NBA like with Shaq and like Charles Barkley just because they're funny.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
That the inside NBA is all I know about the NBA.
Damn.
I did watch this one movie with Adam Sandler where he's a coach. It was a good movie.
Yeah, what do you mean you don't know about Stephen A. Smith?
I can't tell if Stephen A. Smith is a legit guy or he's considered a clown.
No, he's a legit guy. He has years on.
He has a lot of memes about. He has a lot of memes about him though.
He gets a lot of memes about him because you have to understand he's literally the #1 like sports commentator.
Oh no, he's hilarious though. I mean, every time I watch a Stephen A. clip, it's funny. Also, my favorite meme about him is like he does not support black men.
Oh no, my favorite is like my favorite clip is probably like I'm here to let you know we don't care.
No,
we don't care.
No, my favorite clips is where he's like he was on crack, and like the other guy like it does a zoom in, and the other guy reacts like what?
Oh yeah, or when he comes in with like the cowboy hats. Nah, there's one that I thought it was like a celebrity's basketball. It was like the coach, and he's like going in slapping people's hand, and it was like during the time when everyone thought like Kim Jong Un died, and it was like Kim Jong Un winning the gulag.
Bro, I love Stephen A. Smith. I don't care. I mean, yeah, he doesn't support black men, but I still think he's hilarious. That's one of my favorite memes. I bring it up to like all my friends and like, dog, what do you know about this? How do you know? I thought you weren't into ball.
Wait, born in a ball?
No, I said, yeah, I thought you weren't into ball. Like,
oh, you're not into ball.
Yeah.
I think you said we're born in the ball. Like, what?
No, I'm not born into that, but that was it for today. Well, I say for this week. So take care, everyone. Have a good one. Enjoy yourselves.
Peace.